So all you have to do is just do the angle first, then the -3. So the next one, same deal, but first start with the angle. So pi4 is right in the middle, right? The negative pi4 should be here. So you go out 2. So 1.
You're not sharing anymore.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Thanks. All right, so pi4 is right here, right? Let me see if I can annotate this. Pi4 is right in the center, right? But negative pi4 should be over here, but you would stop at 2. So here's 1, 2, so it'd be right there, the point. This color sucks. Let me change it. All right, let's see our answers. Let's see, looks like, yeah, right there. 1, 2, at negative pi4. Is there any question of those first two problems there? You guys comfortable with graphing and polar? Okay, then. Now I'll move on to something else. 3 is the same deal. Go to 30 degrees and then move out 5. So there it is. Okay, let's start with number 4. The polar coordinate of a point. So this is the polar coordinate. Find the rectangular. Okay. This is stuff we've done before. So let's move on to number 4, some actual work here. So the polar coordinate is given. -5, 3 pi over 4, right? So they won't think they so put this in to rectangular. So basically go to x and y. So x is our cosine, right, of theta. Y is our sine theta. So what is r? And theta, right? So the x value will be -5 times cosine of 3 pi4. And y will be -5 times sine of 3 pi4. All right, so what will that be? What is cosine of 3 pi4?
It is negative the square root of 2 over 2.
Yeah, I think that's right. 1 second. Three pi4, yeah.
What is the opposite?
For the cosine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that'll be negative square root 2 over 2. Y will be -5 times positive, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see how they wrote the answer in the question. Looks like, yeah. Negative times negative would give us the positive 5 root 2 over 2. And the other one will stay negative. So yeah, there it is. So finishing our answer, right? The Cartesian point would be, for the x value, 5 root 2, because the negatives will cancel. Oops. comma, -5 root 2 over 2. Okay. Any questions on number 4? Is that clear? Is that weird?
No, it's not clear for me.
Anyone else have a question? Now I'm going to move on to something else. Okay. Number 5 is the same deal, so we'll move on. 6 is going the other direction, so let's do this one. 6. So here the U is rectangular and it wants to go to polar. So the rectangular, I'll write this down real quick. Coordinate is -5, 5. Okay. Find the polar. Okay, so find the polar. So we know that x is equal to -5, y is equal to 5, and we know that r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. So r squared would be equal to -5 squared plus 5 squared, which is 25, 25 is 50, right?
Yes.
Square root of 50, so r would be 5 root 2. Okay, so we have r now. Now we just need theta. Do you guys remember how we find theta?
What?
Was it tangents? Is it r or x over r or something like that?
Yeah.
X over R.
X over r or
X over Y, maybe.
this sounds close. I mean, I think it's y over x, but I may double check before I commit to that. Yeah. All right. Pretty sure theta would be equal to tangent inverse of y over x. So theta would equal to tangent inverse of 5 over -5, right? Which is tan inverse of -1. So where is tangent inverse -1? And remember, the x has to be negative and the y has to be positive. So that's how you're going to choose it. Yeah. All right. So real quick. So we know that tangent inverse will only give us values from this section of the circle, right? This right half. So it'd be 0 to pi over 2. This is the first half, and the other half would be 0 to -pi over 2. So they have negative angles. So if you punch into the circle, or into the calculator rather, it's most likely going to give us this here. But we want the one over here because our x is negative and our y is positive. Over here, it's opposite. Even though it technically works out and it gives us -1, that's not what we want. Okay, so you have to adjust. So the angle that we're supposed to use will be 3 pi over 4. Based on x and y here. So the solution would be r is 5 root 2, comma, 3 pi over 4. This would be our answer for number 6. Does have any questions on number 6?
So when you punch in inverse tangent -1 in your calculator and you get a decimal number, you just know that 0.78 is
Well,
that
if it's
angle, or
in,
what?
I would probably leave it in degrees. That way you can kind of identify where it's at. If you have degrees, it's going to give you a negative 45. Radians is going to give you negative pi over 4, which is that
Okay.
decimal thing that you saw.
Gotcha, thanks.
All right. Let's see what they got for an answer. Yeah, it looks like 5 root 2, comma 3 pi 4s. Yeah, that's what we got. All right, number 7. Here's when we start changing equations into polar. We did a bunch of these too. Let's do number 7. I'm just going to paraphrase here, convert the following equation to polar. That's x squared plus 4y squared equals to 4. Or sorry, equals to, 4. So remember our formulas, right? X is equal to r cosine, so we gotta convert the x. Y is r sine, and if it's helpful, r squared equals x squared plus y squared. So let's see how this goes. So this becomes r cosine theta for the x squared, right? For this guy, plus 4 times r sine theta squared equals to 4. So this becomes r squared cosine squared theta plus 4r squared sine squared theta equal to 4. Now let's see if there's anything we can really do here other than factor in r. Doesn't look like it, because this 4 doesn't allow us to use our rule, the Pythagorean identity. So really all we can do is pull this out, but honestly we're pretty much done. This would be your answer. Yeah, that's what they got too. C.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you go back to what you were writing?
Yeah.
Please?
What was number 5 again?
The answer?
Yeah.
Number 5 answer was A. A is the answer. 4,0.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 8, there's not much to do here. Let's keep on going. 8 is A as well. Let me show you. So the question is, change this to polar, like what we just did. Y equals x. So replace y and x, and you're done. Y is your sine. Well, actually, y would be r sine, x would be r cosine, but the r's cancel. So you'd be left with this. There's nothing to do. It's really. I'll write it down real quick just so you see what I mean. It's like a one-liner, you know. Y equals x in polar. That'd be r sine theta equals r cosine theta. And then you divide both sides by r, and that's it. So your answer would be sine theta equals cosine theta. Nothing else to do. Okay. Guys have any questions on 9 and 10? They're very similar, so I'm going to move on if you don't.
No, sir.
Okay. 11, 12, they're just graphing. So let's use either our calculator or something else. Let's use Desmos, I guess.
Did we ever confirm we can use Desmos on the test? Like if we open it in the lockdown browser?
Didn't work yesterday.
Didn't work.
No,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I had to use my phone.
yeah. I mean, it's supposed to work. I just don't understand why it's not easily accessible. But yeah, I mean, if I can't get it to work, I mean, I don't mind using your phone for the graphing part. Let's see here. What was I doing? Oh yeah, questions. Here they are. Okay. Yeah, number 11 is r equals 4 sine theta. R equals 4 sine theta. Okay. Can you guys see the graphing thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. R equals 4 sine theta. Should be something basic. Yeah, just a circle. So when they ask you the question, right, identify it. Well, clearly it's circle of radius. Looks like what? Radius 2. So you just choose this guy. So long as you can graph it, it's not a huge deal. I mean, you can also use your TI-84. They will do the same thing. You just need to switch to polar. Same thing with this guy. 12. Yeah, so this is going to be theta equals pi thirds. Let's look at it. Oh, man. One second. I believe this is the one of the ones we talked about. Either it's a circle or a line. Let me look at the example. Yeah. If they do not give you a radius, then the radius will be any real number. It will be all real numbers, but the angle will be fixed. So that would create a line. And that's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Now here
You're
it
trying
is.
to,
Sorry. So this is like at the beginning of 10, or this chapter. I think it's chapter 10, right? Or 9, I don't remember anymore. Anyway, where is it? There it is. So they did not mention r. So r is any number. So we go to that angle, pi thirds, right? Which is about 60 degrees. So r just keeps going back and forward. So it becomes just a line. That's all it is. And if you don't have a theta, then the opposite is true, right? If r equals some number, you'll end up with a circle at that location. Like, see if this thing can do it. The r equals 4, 2, 1, whatever, right? Because theta is not given, so theta will be all angles, so it'll just go all the way around at a fixed radius, meaning it creates a circle. Okay. I'll come back to 13. 14. Yeah, I'll come back to these guys in a little bit. 15 is again just identifying the graph. So before we identify it as a circle. So this guy, we'll graph it and see what it looks like. This most likely will be a rose. This is probably a limacon or cardioid. So 4 plus 3 sine. Yeah, it's a cardioid. Let's see if that's correct. Limacon, my bad. Let me bring up the definitions. That way we won't forget, because I forgot. 10.4, I think it was. No. Here it is. So in your notes of 10.2, we talked about how to determine if it's a cardioid or not. So let me pull up the book. Okay. So I would make sure you have some notes like this, like if it's a theta equal to a number, it's going to be a line, right? If it's going to be, where is it? Where is the rule for Lamasan? Here we go. So for cardioids. So you should be able to factor it in this way. And if A is positive, you have a cardioid that passes through the loop, through the pole. Okay. Now, the difference between that and a Lamasan is you can't really factor it. It's A plus B is separate. Just like our example, we had, I think it was like 2 plus 4 or something, whatever.
4 plus 3.
4 plus 3, yeah. So there was nothing to factor there. So it would be this case, this definition. So I would write down all the definitions, that way you know how to identify, because I don't expect you to memorize this, but I do expect you to be able to look it up. Okay. And depending on A and B, you'll have an inner loop or that passes or does not pass through the pole. Okay. Do you guys have the chapter 10 notes that I sent, or I don't know if I've sent them yet from the book?
Yes, I have the book.
Okay. All right then, let's see. But either way, if you would have graphed it, right, you would have had the shape, the correct shape. So you
Sorry,
may
number
not.
15.
Yeah, this is for 15. Like if you would have just punched this into your grapher, you would have picked the right choice anyway, because this seems to have a inner loop and this one doesn't. Then you can see that with the picture, right? It doesn't go into the pole. It just stops before it. The pole being the origin here. Okay. So even without the definitions, you can technically figure it out. And this guy, the double angle tells you it's going to be a rose type. And we had some rules depending on if it's even or odd. Do you guys remember? You have a certain number of petals. So if it's even, it's always 2 times the number, 2 times whatever's next to the theta. So 2 times 2 would be 4 petals. So it's going to be this one. And none of the rest have 4 petals, so it kind of eliminates it. But if you were to graph it, of course, you would know the answer. It would be 4 sine 2 theta. Which is, yeah, this guy. So the graphing question shouldn't be too difficult. Okay. Do you have any questions on the graphing stuff?
No, sir.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay. For the polar, we did a few of those in the notes, but we can go through it one more time. So remember the negative, so it's going to be a, here, let me show you the answer. So this y-axis, right, is the imaginary part, and this part is the x-axis. So -1 is right here, and then we have 6 on the y-axis, because that's the imaginary piece. That's all you got to do is pretend this is negative. Pretend this is the x and the y part. So this is like saying 1, 6, right? -1, 6, and then you would plot it like normal. It's the same thing. This guy here, you'd have to use your calculator because 2 square root 2 will be a decimal. So you would find that first as a decimal and then plot it the same way. There's nothing really to that guy. Do you have any questions on 17 or 18?
No, sir.
This one, we just need to plug it in. Let's do 19. Okay. So they want to write the complex number in rectangular form. So all you can really do is find out what a cosine 300 is and multiply by 4. So write the complex number in rectangular form for cosine of 300 plus I sine of 300. Okay. So cosine of 300, that's going to be, let's see. About 1/2, right? And so it'd be 4 times 1/2 plus 4 times negative square root 3 to I, right? So that'll be 2 plus, this reduces by 2 to negative, oops, actually that'd be negative, right? Negative 2 square root 3. Oops, I can't forget the I. So really all you're doing is plugging in the numbers. What is cosine multiplied by 4? There's nothing else to do. For question 19, yeah, it's just the 19. Okay. Give me one moment. All right. So the answer would be simply, after you change it to x and y, you find the r, you use a cosine and sine definition to help you find the theta. So this happens in pi fourths. So the answer would be, let me think. Yeah. 2 root 2 times cosine 45 plus I sine 45. Using our formula stuff. That was the z formula, by the way. You remember the r cosine plus I sine, right? All right. Does that make sense or no? You guys any questions on number 20?
Then the answer would be the pi over 4 or the 45 degrees.
It'd be this whole thing right here.
Okay.
The square root 2 times this. Let me show you. Yeah, they use degrees. So the formula for, so if z is equal to 2 plus 2i, remember the z formula is going to be r times cosine theta plus I sine theta. So once you find the theta, you just plug it in, and you plug in the r. That's it. It's in example 2 in the notes, 10.2.
What was number 18?
18 will be B.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's look at some more. Over here, this one's pretty similar, so I'm gonna move on. Do you guys have any issues with 22 or 23? Because these are not too difficult, but we can go over it if you like. Do you remember this from the homework or the examples we did?
Can you go over that one from 22, please?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. All right, 22. Let me write all this down. So here's, they give us z and w and they want us to divide it. Oh, sorry, they want us to multiply. So they say find z times w, and then they give us z is 10 cosine of 45 degrees plus I sine of 45 degrees. W is 5 cosine of 15 degrees plus I sine 15 degrees. So multiply them together. We can do all that FOIL nonsense, or we can use the formula to help us out.
Wasn't 22 divide?
Let's see. It says times.
Oh, okay. I thought it said Z over W. Maybe that was 23.
Let's see here. Yeah, 23 is a divide one. Okay. And then pull up the formula. And here we go. So remember that Z is equal to R times cosine theta plus I sine theta. And we can rewrite that as R times E to the I theta, right? So what we're going to do is change them both into exponential. That way it's easy to multiply. So this guy would be 10 e to the I 45. This guy would be 5 e to the I 15. Right, so that means z and w multiplied will simply be 10 ei 45 times 5 ei 15. So that would be 50 e to the 45 plus 15, that would be 60 degrees, right? And then going back to the other form, that would be 50 cosine of 60 plus I sine of 60. Is there any questions about that?
So does the result 50?
Yeah, they left it the way I put it here.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So all they did is show you this. They didn't show you how to get there.
Mhm.
The 23 would be the same. 24, you're going to want to use the exponential form, but let's take a short break here. We're on 24. We'll come back in about, let's come back at 7:15-ish.
Thank you, sir.
All right. 24. Let's write the expression. In standard form, a plus bi. So we have 2 times cosine of 15 degrees plus I sine of 15 degrees, everything cubed. So what I suggest is to use the formula up top and change it to r e to the I theta. So this would be 2 e to the I 15 degrees cubed. So that would become 2 cubed times e to the I 15 degrees cubed, which would be 8 e to the 3 times 15, right? When you have a power to another power, you multiply. So 3 times 15 would be 15, 30, 45. So that would be I 45. Now getting it back to polar, that would be 8 times cosine of 45 plus I sine of 45. I don't know why I wrote it there, but whatever. So then that would be 8 times square root 2 over 2 plus square root 2 over 2i, which will be 4 root 2 plus 4 root 2i. And that's what they have. The answer would be B. All right, you guys have any questions on 24?
No, sir.
All right, 25 is a little long. I think we did that in the notes, so I'll come back to it if we have time. Let's go to 26. All right, so 26 are doing the parallelogram rule. So basically, you take V and connect it from head to toe. So here's W. So you're going to connect this guy to here, but it's negative W, meaning this direction will flip the opposite direction. So you're going to end up connecting it. I don't know if I can draw it on here or not, but I'll try. Where's this stupid thing? Oh, here it is. Okay. I can't see. Dang it. There we go. Okay. So we have V, right? V is going this way. W is going this way, right? But they say minus W, so V minus W. So I would switch to the other direction the best that I can. And then the kind of like our hypotenuse, the part that connects it, would be the vector we care about. So the answer would be the resulting vector. So I don't need this anymore. So this guy right here would be the answer. Does that make sense? So you connect this one and this one, V and W, but the negative sign, all that tells you is the direction. So V plus W would be going this way, but V minus W would be going this other way. Oops. Okay. Let me close that. So the one that looks most like it is this guy. Okay, so what I recommend when you do these is just graph the two vectors side by side or connect them together and then decide what operation they want to do. Okay. Minus just means you flip direction, opposite direction. So like if it's minus Z, it'd be going straight down instead of up and down. Or instead of up, sorry. Does that make sense? For what's the word? Graphically adding and subtracting vectors.
So the answer is B, right?
Answer would be B, right? So just connect them together and then draw a hypotenuse, and that's the answer, the hypotenuse part. Okay.
How many problems are on this test? Just 4.
I don't know. I'll check in a minute.
20.
The 20?
Yeah, I took it Sunday, I think.
Okay. Yeah, the review has way more because it repeats the questions. Like, for example, 20 and 29 is the same deal, which is slightly different, you know. Anyway, 27. You guys have any issues with 27? Do you remember how to find a vector given 2 points?
This is where you have to use the formula, right? The BAX2 minus X1. That's the right one, right?
Yeah, you just subtract
Yeah.
the final point versus the initial point. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So -1 minus 2 and 2 minus 6. And that's it.
Mhm.
You guys want to do 27 or some? Do you guys remember this?
Can we do 27?
Yeah. Let's do 27. Okay. 27. So find the vector that goes through both points. P is 2, 6. Q is -1, -2. So we'll call this vector V. That's what they called it in the question. So to find it, you do -1 minus, so the first one minus, the last one minus the first one for the x component or the I component, and then the -2 minus the 6 for the j component. So our answer would be -3, -8. This is just it's like y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. It's basically what we're doing.
And you have to add the I and the J.
Well, if you use this notation, no. But if you use the other notation, yeah. You can use either one. So if you put these little triangle things, it's assumed you mean a vector. If you don't write this, then you have to put ij.
Yes.
So pick whatever you want to use. All right, 28. Let's get this guy. We're just adding 2 vectors, right? 29. Do you have any issues with 29?
Can you do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. $29 is, okay, there it is. So V is equal to, the vector V is equal to 3i minus 5j, and W is equal to -7i plus 4j. So the question is, find 3v minus 4w. So this would simply be just 3 times v, right? That's a J. Crappy J. Minus 4 times your W. So that'll be 9I minus 15J for this piece here. And then distribute the negative 4, and that will be positive 28I minus 16J. Now add the like terms, and this would be 9 plus 28, which would be, excuse me,
37.
yeah, thank you. 37I minus 15 minus 16, that would be,
Negative 31.
yeah. Okay. But yeah, so all you have to do is multiply by the scalars first, and then add the I and J components. That's all you got to do for 29.
Okay.
Can you show us the problem for number 27 really quick? Just how it shows it on the review.
Sure. 27 just says the vector B has an initial point P, terminal with point Q, and then they want you to find the V vector.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. 30 and 31 are similar. We can do 30, I guess. So if V is equal to negative 4I plus 4J, find the magnitude of V. Okay. And we said that the magnitude of V is just the squared components, square rooted, I believe. So it should be square root of 4 squared plus 4 squared. The negative will make a difference, but we'll put it there. That'll be 16 plus 16 is 32, which is a square root of 16 times 2, which would be 4 root 2, which is answer C.
You said C or D?
C. C is in Charles.
Okay, so number 8.
31 is similar, you just add them first and then magnitude. The answer is also C for 31.
So for 30, is it 4 radical 2?
Yeah, that'd be this guy.
Oh, okay, that's D.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the C is number 8.
Oh, I read it wrong. You're right. Okay, thanks.
Radical 89, right? Just to be sure.
I'm sorry?
31 was 89, right?
Yeah, radical 89. Okay. All right, 32 says find the unit vector. So we're just gonna need to divide by its magnitude, and that's it. So 32. Find the unit vector u in the direction of v. So here is v. V is 3i plus 4j. So we need to find the magnitude first. So that would be the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, which would be square root of 9 plus 16, right? 25? Yeah. Okay, so u, the unit vector, would be 3i over 5 plus 4 over 5j. So you just divide each term by this magnitude. That gives you u.
Okay.
Okay, let me find the formula for, yeah, here it is. It's a 33. Thirty-three says write the vector in the form ai plus bj, given the following. Magnitude of v is 5 and alpha is 120 degrees. So we need this formula here. The vector v is equal to the magnitude of v times cosine alpha times I plus sine alpha j. So just plug it in and you're done. So we'd have 5 times cosine of 120 plus sine of 120. And let's see if they left it that way or not. I don't know what the options are. No, they went ahead and plugged it in. So cosine of 120, that is 5 times a negative 1/2. Yeah. I plus square root 3, no, 5 times square root 3 over 2 j. So this would become a negative 5/2 I plus 5 root 3 over 2 j. That looks ugly. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, do you guys have any questions on 34, the dot product?
That, Can you make that one?
Yeah, let's do it. So just make sure you don't forget. 34. Find v dot w. V will be negative I plus, minus j. W will be negative I minus j. So v dot w means you just multiply the I and j components. So negative 1 times negative 1 for the I pieces. And then the j pieces, negative 1, negative 1. So, yeah, that would be what? 2? 1, 1, 2. Let me see if that's right. Yeah, 2. $35 is find the angle between V and W. Okay, so V is negative 5I plus 7J. W is negative 6I minus 4J. So the formula you're going to need is this guy here from section 10.5. The angle theta would be equal to the cosine inverse of the V dot W over the magnitude of V times the magnitude of W. All right, so we're going to find the dot product first and the magnitude. So let's find the magnitude of V. That would be the square root of negative 5 squared plus 7 squared, which would be 25 plus 49, right? It's like, what is that going to be? Oh, 70, is that 74? Let me see. Yep.
24.
Okay, and does that contain any squares? Don't think so. No. Yeah, so that would be it. All right, so magnitude of W. That would be square root of negative 6 squared plus negative 4 squared. So that'd be 36 plus 16. What would that be?
52.
Is that does that contain any perfect squares? I think I can be broken into,
2 square root 13.
yeah, 4 and 13, so 2 root 13. All right. All right, so now we just need the dot product. And we're pretty much good. V dot W, that would be the I pieces together plus the J pieces multiplied together. So that will be a 30 minus 28, which is 2. So theta would equal cosine inverse. Put it all together now. 2 over root 74 times 2 root 13. At that point, it's calculator time.
Be 8.15 degrees.
Let's see. I think you're right. Okay. Yeah, you said 88.15, is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I got. Now let's hope that's what they got. Yeah. So question 35 is B. They round to 1 decimal place in the instructions. Okay. So 36 says which of the following vectors is parallel to this guy? V equals 9i plus 5j. So there's a few correct answers. That's weird. Possible? No. Let's just say it's possible. So the way you do it is you dot product this one with each one of these until you get a 0. That's one way to do it. Because the dot product that gives you 0 means that they're parallel. It's cosine inverse of 0. Actually, I'm sorry. If the dot product is 0, then they are orthogonal. If they are parallel, it should give you a 1. Let me check the notes here. Yeah. Yeah, if it's 0, they are orthogonal or 90-degree angle. If they are parallel, they need to give you a 1. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, just do the dot product until you get a 1. 37. Let's go ahead and do 37, I guess. Grade 7 says state whether the vectors are parallel, orthogonal, or neither. So here's V. Here's W. Okay, so we just dot them together and see what happens. So V dot W would be 4 times 3 plus 3 times negative 4. So that would be 12 minus 12, which is 0. So when you get a 0, they are orthogonal. So 38, 39 are the same type of deal. Just do the dot product and see what happens. Okay. I don't think I have time for number 40, but do you guys have any general questions? I think on Wednesday I might take a few more questions or start the final review. I'll let you know soon. I need to see sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'll let you know soon. I'm hoping I can get those videos ready and just send them to you, save time. But technically this Wednesday is the last day of class. I think the exam is open till when is it open till?
Number 4, you said?
Yeah,
That was the second.
second.
You're
You
gonna leave it
guys-
to the second?
Let's see. I'll give you till Friday. That seems fair.
Yes.
That way you can, if you want to, you can come to my tutoring hours on
So that's number
Tuesday
4.
or Thursday.
Okay,
yeah.
4. Okay.
What was number 40?
The answer, let me check. One moment.